I'm back. Okay. I don't know if you were staring at me for a minute, but I wasn't seeing any connection. Of course, now it says excellent connection. Anyway, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Sorry for the mass confusion. The computer's acting very strange. What else is new? I guess it doesn't always act strange. I can't believe it says excellent connection now. I never get excellent connection. How weird is it when Mandela is the normal in our lives? Yeah, I know. It's just, all right, so we'll do world news and then I'll cover, I'm just reading what's going on here. I'm still connected, right? Unlist live, current views. I don't know why it suddenly changed. Okay, you guys still see me, right? I don't know, it's acting really weird. Okay, I'm just going to start yakking. Stream health. See, why is it all like, I can't read any of it now. Video resolution. Okay, there's the normal complaint. All right, looks like we're good. Okay, yeah, so I guess everybody forgot about the big C because now we have all the protests and nobody cares about the C anymore. The CDC released that thing that it's only likely only a 0.26 death rate for the big C anyways. So now we just have to worry about the city burning down. I don't know, this thing is also weird, again with the division. We have people for the protesters versus people for the police. Of course, there looks like pretty clear evidence of bad actors on both sides. A lot of people that are locals are saying that strangers are coming in and starting the trouble, mostly. There's white people causing vandalism, not just blacks. I don't know, the whole thing is just weird. So, the only thing I could say is don't get caught up in the division. It seems like all of these things are designed to try to get people to dislike other groups. So, and then there's, of course, now what's interesting is before it seemed like Fox and the right GOP side were kind of covering the big C a little bit more accurately than the rest of the media. But now it's kind of flipped where Fox seems like they're mostly just covering that the police are all innocent victims, and that's oversimplification, and then the liberal side is covering it a little bit more evenly, probably more emphasis on the protesters being the positive people. So, but again, you've got the split. I don't know if the different sides of the media are going to jump back and forth on the accuracy. First, the liberals will be more accurate, then Fox will be more accurate. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So anyways, just make sure you don't get sucked into that game, because here's another thing that I was looking at. Now, I can't swear on this, but it's definitely interesting. Somebody did this little video, and this is a channel called Joker Box. It's a YouTube channel, and the title is George Floyd Actors. So basically, he's replaying somebody else's video, but I couldn't find the original video, so I'm just going to use his version. But what they were looking at is, I don't know if you know, but there was another angle that came out. Let me see if I can get this larger. Come on, you can do it. I might be asking too much of my computer, but there's another angle of the death where it shows the police over here from the other angle. What's interesting about this is if you look at it, I could be wrong. It could be just a matter of perspective, but it really looks like Floyd is like further back behind the car more in this one. And I suggest you go watch this, because I don't want to play too much of these different videos from mainstream media, because I could get a copyright. Actually, I'm going to just shut that one down. But basically, so there's the original video. Okay, so in order to get this shot, somebody has to be standing over here on the left side of the vehicle, a little to the back, in order to get this shot. Okay, so that's what they're, and you can see that his head's sticking out fairly far behind the vehicle. But then when you look at this other side, um, if you, it's not, it's a kind of a grainy video, but it does not look like his head is way back here, because this guy is right by the car and he's standing there, and this head is way over here. So it really looks like he's way, he's not sticking out. His head's not sticking out. So it like, is this really the same incident, or was it just like acted out and redone? I think in the old timelines, I would have just assumed that there was some explanation that I hadn't figured out, but things are so weird here that, the other thing about this video is there's a point somewhere in the video where the camera pans way over here and you don't see anybody over there. And remember, the original video had people yelling, "Let him go, blah, blah, blah," you know, and there were people over here. Somebody had to be filming it from this angle over here. But when this camera pans over, there's nobody over there. You don't hear any yelling to let him go or any of that. That's all not there. So, I mean, it's definitely possible that maybe the exact minutes that they filmed this just happened to be a time when this guy was not filming over here and all these people just happened to not be there, and that nobody was yelling at that whole time, and then that all happened at a different time. I mean, it is possible. And maybe this head thing is all just a matter of perspective, and if I was there, it would all make sense. I mean, that's possible. But then you account in the fact that Floyd, who got killed, actually knew or worked at the same place at nightclub that this Derek guy who's kneeling on his neck worked at. That, what's the chances of that happening? I mean, it could be just a coincidence. It's possible. And then the third thing that I thought was really weird is, this is the one thing I noticed right away before I even put in on my skeptic hat, and I was just kind of blindly staring at the TV without thinking. But as a person that has asthma in the past, and he said that he couldn't breathe, and supposedly the reason he couldn't breathe is because Derek has his knee on the guy's neck, which would be a good reason. But if you really had someone's knee on your neck and you couldn't breathe, I do not see how you could yell that loud. And the immediate thing I noticed was when he was yelling that he couldn't breathe, he had plenty of air in the yell, and I didn't notice any strain on his voice, which is unlikely. I mean, I'm not saying it can't be possible, but I add all those things together, that his voice didn't sound strained or like he had lack of, I mean, in order to make noise, you must exhale a lot of air. In order to yell loudly, you need to have more air. I don't see how, it's possible that maybe he was being squished in the chest region, and that was where, and it was just pressing down on him. But again, the voice then should have gotten weaker over time, and it didn't. There's just too many weird things. So there was that. There's the fact that these two worked at the same nightclub. And then there's the fact that this angle of the vehicle here, he looks like he's further back. And remember, this was released much later. So, you know, it is possible that they just refilmed this, you know. And then you have the fact that there was no yelling, and you couldn't see anybody over here in the second video. There's just too many weird things about this video, so I don't trust it. It did come out at a very convenient time, just when the big C thing was dying down. They had to know that something like this would really stir up some people. They had a very convenient camera angle that really showed, I thought I have it as not, oh, it's down here. That really showed it to like a most effective, you just really could see, it was just like so well filmed, the angle and everything, that also makes me a little suspicious. You could really see the injustice of it all. This guy's got his hand in his pocket. I mean, if you're really worried about somebody escaping or whatever, the whole thing is just weird. I don't know. So I don't trust it. I don't trust the video. I'm not saying that stuff like this doesn't happen, that police aren't sometimes brutal. You know, a certain percentage of them are in there for the wrong reason, and they are. So I'm not saying something like this doesn't happen. I'm just saying that the timing of it all, the way this video looks, the weird things about this video, uh, all of the stories about people coming in and stirring up stuff at these protests, um, it's very suspicious. I don't trust it. You know, I think that everybody's getting played. I think the black people might be getting played, and I think the white people might be getting played. I wouldn't trust anything at this point. Or maybe it's just something the timeline's doing to, see if I can get this small again, to divide people. So, you know, the way to win this game is to not fall prey to the division. Keep your, remember that every group is majority good people. You know, that's one thing the media does more and more in recent years is you've got 99 people that make sense, and one person is flapping their lips saying something stupid and obnoxious and rude. And who goes on the news? It's that stupid guy, that obnoxious guy. You know, so whoever you see on the news is going to be, most of the time, somebody that really should not be speaking for his fellow man. He does not represent his fellow man. And he's what's on. So people are, you know, seeing the most violent of the police, the most violent of the protesters. A lot of times the clips are being edited down so you can't see the whole picture. I mean, there's one where a guy was chasing the protesters with a sword, and he was chasing them around, and then the protesters jumped on him and pounded the crap out of him. And then when that clip went around, it was said that this was a store owner defending his store. Well, first of all, it turns out it's not a store owner. It's just a crazy person with a sword. And they cut off all the parts where he was chasing them first. Now, were those parts even on there to start with? I mean, is this another game that the timeline plays, again, where it shows you part of a clip and you form an opinion, and then suddenly there's more of a clip and it shows the reverse? And again, we've seen that where it goes back and forth. So you get an opinion and then another piece of information comes around. It's like whiplash. So again, it's like whiplash. So just be careful. Be careful what you assume on this business. So here's another one talking about how they work together. Man, I think this might be the page that's screwing up my computer. George Floyd and Derek Chauvin worked at the same nightclub but may not have known each other. I find that unlikely, that they should at least know each other by sight. I mean, if you are in charge of security at a nightclub, then your job is to know who the other employees are. So I don't see how you're going to be working somewhere and, you know, crossing over there. She's saying, oh, well, one worked outside and one worked inside. The people working there know who else is working there that day. So, you know, at least they would know that. It's ridiculous. How can you do security when you don't even know who works for the club? Makes no sense at all. Okay, let me see. There we go. Oh yeah, somebody was talking about the Ring of Fire. Yeah, I've had that on. The Ring of Fire on eclipses is new for me. I think the reason we can have a Ring of Fire now is because the moon size is smaller and larger. And I've covered before how there was not these super moons and stuff in my old timeline. So if the Ring of Fire is new for you, I'm betting that the super moons are newish. Let's see. Hopefully you're hearing me through all this baloney. Don't start with a mask. I have them in my dreams. Yeah. The sad part is I'm getting used to wearing them in the store, too. It's like it used to really bug me, but now I kind of forget it's on there. The thing is, here you can't go into the store without a mask. The stores are enforcing it. And most of the Californians are wearing them. You know, you go out there and it's 11 p.m. at night and there's somebody walking down the street and there's nobody in 5 blocks and that person has a mask on. People in their cars are wearing them. It's really big over here in California, or at least San Diego. Yeah, the infiltrators. I don't know. Is this just a thing the timeline does? You know, a lot of this stuff I've not heard of. With the protesting, the police doing the kettling, where they block people in. There's an event now where a couple years ago they had undercover police inside the protesters, and then the regular police kettled them and then beat up everybody, and even beat up the undercover police because they didn't know they were undercover police, and the undercover police sued, and I don't remember any of that stuff. I don't know. There, you know, we've talked a lot about how much violence is in this timeline, so I think it's just something we're going to have to go through. You know, locally though, everything's fine. We've had a number of protests, even though we do not have a very good reputation for our police department here. The police chief went out right away and shook hands with the protesters and talked with them, and everything was peaceful, and the protesters made sure everybody behaved. And you know, stores were so scared the first protest that was scheduled that a bunch of stores here boarded up, not just closed but boarded up all their windows, but nothing happened. And I noticed a lot of them unboarded their windows the next day. So now the news is saying Floyd was positive for the C. Are you serious? Oh my. Are they going to say that the sea made him like lunatic? Oh my God. You're kidding, right? Oh my God. I'm going to look it up. You're joking, right? He died from the sea. It's true. Oh, I thought you were messing with me. That was 2 hours ago. He tested positive in April but had no symptoms. Okay. He was asymptomatic. I bet they have it down as cause of death. Oh, jeez. I wonder if they're going to milk that anymore. UK protesting made 0 sense. I didn't know you guys were. Well, I mean, you know, I'm sure that, well, I don't know that much about the UK, but it actually seems like your police aren't that bad. I mean, I think anywhere you go, you're going to have obnoxious people going to the police force, but he had a microphone on him. It was all staged false flag. Oh, really? I didn't see any evidence of the microphone. I'll have to look that up. Anyways, there's a lot of suspicious stuff about it, and like I said, I'm not. You know, there's been cases where white people have been held down and suffocated to death too. I mean, it's not just blacks. Police brutality is a universal problem across the races. I do think it's quite likely that black people get it more, but you know, I think it's also good that we realize that if they'll treat them bad, then you're next. So we really just can't have that. It's in all of our interests to have the police force act professionally, withhold their oath to protect and serve. There's video where the people on the other side of the road aren't there. Yeah, exactly. That second video shows, it pans over and you can see the whole wall back there. There's nobody over there in the second video. All those people are yelling to let him go, and the one that was filming is not there. Usually cops confiscate videos. Yeah, I don't know. They were like releasing them, dribbling them out bit by bit. Why are the other countries protesting? Well, I'm assuming that the other countries have black people in them that are probably pissed off. But, and there's always just the general police brutality thing. But, yeah, that, there's just, I don't know. There's too many weird things about this. I wondered the same thing with yelling. If he can't breathe, how is he yelling? So, like, if they were pushing down on his chest, I could see him being able to like get his lungs open enough, like you can push back with your chest muscles and get some air, but over time the chest muscles get tired and there'll be less and less air. I could see that, but then the whole storyline seems to be centered around the guy squishing on his neck. And when I looked at those second angle photos, it didn't look like they were squashing him down on his body that much. They weren't sitting on him. They weren't like, it didn't look like it. So I'm the whole story is sort of just a little flimsy, and it's the details aren't there. It doesn't quite add up. There's just like when you make up a fake story, there's just, it doesn't quite mesh together right. So, well, we'll see if they come up with any better details, but maybe they filmed it over and over until they got their desired reaction. Yeah, I don't know. You know, like I said, they release one video, and then after a few days, people are starting to forget. So then they release another video, and so then it makes another newscast round, more things. Now they see that same anger-making event from a new angle, so it probably stirs up new anger. Oh, look, there was 3 of them sitting on him, so he didn't need to squish that guy's neck because he had these other 2 guys helping him out. If the supermoons are the reference to the size, then they are not new to me. I'll have to look. Well, see, here's the thing, okay? In my old timeline, the sun and the moon were the same. They look the same size in the sky. Of course, the sun's supposed to be bigger, but it's further away. And just by giant coincidence, they just happened to fill the exact same amount of space in the sky. So when the moon went over the sun, then it perfectly blocked the sun. But now, sometimes the moon is, it's got this weird orbit now where sometimes it's further away and sometimes it's closer. So much so that the size of the moon, the appearance of the size of the moon, this is their story anyway, varies, and sometimes it looks larger, supermoon, and sometimes it looks smaller as it's closer and further. So if that's the case, then it should block the sun differently on each eclipse. And so from what I'm reading, that's the storyline, that if this moon happens to look small in the sky, then you get this ring around the eclipse. And so it was, I covered this before. It's called an annular eclipse, I think they were calling it. In fact, one of these images was one of the thumbnails for one of my old shows, in which the edge of the sun remains visible as a bright ring around the moon. Yeah, so when it's, you know, I don't know what they call the opposite of the supermoon, the tiny moon. Is there a word for the other one that's not the supermoon? It's the anti-supermoon. Then you get like this image here, which looks ridiculous to me. I didn't see that until a couple months ago when I did that video, when it was I've never seen that. So it's like an annular eclipse, ANNULAR eclipse. So yeah, I've had it on. I totally agree that it is an ME. This is the Ring of Fire. So the way it kind of started was more like this, where they're like, oh, you can see this, the moon and the sun are the same size in the sky, but you could see the sun's corona. That's what they used to say. So it would be like this one where, and you just see, at first they would just show you a little bit. Oh, you can just see a little bit of the corona, like, because it flares out. And I actually didn't think about it that much at the time, but you know, the sun's corona is super small compared to the mass of the sun. So I don't see how you're going to see it flaring out like, you know, 30% further than the circle itself. Now that I think about it, I realize it's weird, but at the time, you know, because when the sun is normally there, you don't see, you know, solar flares jumping out 30% past the edge of the sun. They don't do that. So why would you see the corona out this far like this one, in this one? So, I mean, is it some kind of camera artifact or what? Anyway, so the whole thing was weird. But that was kind of precursor. You kind of got used to the idea of seeing the corona, and then pardon the pun, and then they get this in, and so people probably like, oh well, a little bit of confusion, but you can jump from that to that without freaking out totally. So I think that was the whole point of that corona business. Oh, nobody's talked. Okay, so the next one, I don't have too much to say about the sea. I think I've covered everything. I mean, there's not a lot to say. I covered it last time, and now everybody worries about the protests. I think I mentioned, yeah, the two sides are taking turns kind of telling the truth. So we had the GOP kind of telling the truth on the sea, and now we have the liberals kind of telling the truth on the protests. So you don't trust either side. I think they tell you the truth, but then they spin it and add a bunch of their own business in there. So you gotta be really careful. Okay, so this one is, I don't know if you recognize it, but this is dogs playing poker, which is like a kind of a famous Kishy kind of painting. Ironically, I don't like Kish usually, but I've always loved this painting. And somebody I knew when I was growing up had it in their room. It was the brother of my friend, and that room was sort of his den, but also it was sort of the playroom. So we would go in there a lot. We were allowed, as long as we didn't mess up the place. And this was in there, and I actually love this. I love dogs, and the thing is, a lot of us just don't remember it looking like this, and I can't find anything that looks like what I remember. So the person on Redcon who brought this up was goes by the username Azraelus, Azraeelus. Now this one has been on before, and I think that I have had it on. I know it was on Redcon before. I think I've had it on here, but it looks different than even the last time I looked at it. So just, what do you notice? I mean, you guys who know this painting, if you remember it, what do you notice that's different about it? Because for me, it's like a whole, I mean, it's, other than the fact that there's poker and dogs, it's almost like a whole different painting in a lot of ways. So I put the thumbnail up, and I found this thumbnail that was like all these different, Mona Lisa and all these different art stuck all together. And I was like, oh my God, they have every one of those as a Mandela effect, and at first, for a second, I thought that was significant. I'm like, they just picked all the ones with Mandela effects. But then I realized, like, every piece of art is loaded with Mandela effects. Every piece of art has changed a lot. So if they grab any art and stick it in here, it's going to be a Mandela affected, because nothing has survived. Is there any art that hasn't changed? I don't know of any. Everyone has been brainwashed. It's not even your own beliefs. Yeah, that's what gets me. People watch TV and they have their favorite show, whether it be liberal or GOP or whatever, and whatever's on that show, they parrot back to me like this is fact. They haven't looked into any of it. They haven't consulted the other side. They haven't noticed like the 10 logic errors that are in like every sentence. I'm like, well, if this is true, how can this be true? And whatever GOP said, they'll just spit it back. And if I really catch them in one, they'll make some kind of ridiculous statement like, well, it doesn't matter anyway, or, I mean, what happened to the dogs playing poker painting? It looks very off. Yes, I agree with you. I looked around. There's a couple versions of it. This is the closest one I could find. As far as I can tell, it's the official one. But none of them look at all like... And then, some skeptic was on there saying, oh, well, it's a series. I'm like, yeah, but all the other paintings in the series are not the poker table. I mean... They're playing pool, they're at the baseball game, no. So I don't want to hear that skeptic plather. I was watching the old Buck Rogers series from 1970s. Now there are so many other episodes that I don't remember. Oh, interesting. You know, I watched it a few years ago after the Mandela, and I don't. It's there's all this sexual double entendre that's really like blatant. I don't remember it being anything like that at all. It was very subtle before. Um, it's just a lot more corny. I just, I've seen it like 10 years ago. It wasn't, I didn't think it was like that. And I have not matured that much. So I don't know. A lot of those old shows are just sort of, they're like caricatures of their old selves. And as far as new episodes, for me, looks like there might be a whole new season of the original Star Trek. Because for me, there were only 2 seasons of the original Star Trek. And last I checked, there's 3 seasons of Star Trek, original Star Trek now. And sure enough, when they did the Star Trek marathon last time, there's a bunch of episodes I did not recognize. And I've watched that show. Like, I saw every show like 50 times. And, maybe there might be moments where I don't recognize it, but if I watched the whole episode, for sure, I would know if I'd seen it. So, yeah, exactly. The part you see during the eclipse is called the corona. Yeah, I know. Corona, it's such an interesting choice for the name of the virus. It just, crown, it has both implications of good and bad. You've got the religious halo thing is called a crown, and you've got, all of the royal blood, evil overlord thing on the other side. Very interesting. Sun is local, moon is local, heliocentric model is lies. You have to be an idiot to believe it. I don't think you have to be an idiot. It's just, I think personally that I'm not a big globe nor flat earther. I think the flat earthers make the mistake that since it's not a globe, it has to be flat. I don't consider that particularly logical. Just because some stuff doesn't make sense about the globe does not immediately mean that flat solves all of it. I personally am a kind of a sim dream type person anyway. I think this place is all a kind of rendering of reality. So it'd be like if you're in the World of Warcraft playing Dungeons and Dragons, is the World of Warcraft flat or is it round? I mean, does it even matter? It doesn't, because it's a rendering. It's a screen in front of your eyes. It's whatever is convenient for it to be. I'm sure whoever programs those images programs them to look good, to be interesting. Everyone has been brainwashed, and it's not even your own beliefs. Yes, dogs, players, barbershop favorite. Is it really? Because I'm a female, so usually we go to salons, and I don't think that I've ever seen anything close to dogs playing poker on any of the salons. Where is the visor? I don't know if you were watching on Retcon, but yeah, a lot of people on the Retcon want to know where the visor was. I could have bet that the Emmy was anyone remembered this green visor in the painting. Okay, the last time I checked, I do remember people saying that the visor was missing. I personally am not. There's certain things I remember about it, and I don't remember if there was a visor or not. It could be either way. So I'm not a where's the visor person. I can't chime in. I just don't remember. Dealer dog was a bulldog with a green visor. I just want to see what everybody else has to say. They do still have cigars, but they're not like, oh, I remember it. Where did it go? Boink. Oh, yeah, you're right. That guy doesn't have a cigar. And that guy has a pipe. Yeah, for sure. Okay, this one has a cigar. But I remember, first of all, I don't remember one looking like this. This one looks like more like a pig. I think it's supposed to be a bulldog, but it looks like a pig. There was a big fat stogie, not this little thing that looks like a little, I don't know what, looks like a little finger. But there was a big fat stogie with a giant ton of smoke coming up, at least on the bulldog. And for me, the bulldog, the whole painting, the reason I liked it, because the caricatures of each animal were so individual, and they were such a good copy of typical human characters that you would forget that they're dogs almost, because you'd just be like, that, oh, I could totally see that guy, you know, a guy looking like that at the poker table. And each one of them were so unique. And that's why I loved it. I mean, plus I like dogs, but it was so well done. And this one is just meh. It's just, they don't have strong personalities. The bulldog was tan. It didn't look like a pig. I remember that it had this pot belly thing that kind of hung out like a fat guy. I mean, the blend of human caricature with dog caricature was so well done in the old painting. And these are just like pig-shaped dogs, and there were not two that looked the same. See, these two look almost the same. There was not, in this one, there were not three that looked the same. The way they hold the cards is wrong. It's way stupider now. I mean, the only thing I could say good about it is it has dogs in it. And what is this ugly chandelier thing? That was not on there. I don't remember the walls being blue. I'm not sure on that thing, but this was not there. That looks hideous. I mean, it's poor quality painting, and it's a crappy painting now. It used to be good. I mean, it was kish, but it was good. Yeah, see, I don't remember him having a card in his foot either. I totally don't remember that. It was more human-like. Yeah, a lot of people commented on the green visor. I looked, I can't find the one I remember. Yeah, I'm going to scroll through a bit, but I can't find anything. This is the closest one, and it is not close. I am playing WoW right now. Yeah, see, is it a round Earth or is it a flat Earth? Are you one of those globers? It's a plane. We live on a flat surface. Water is always level. Always. It's a simulation. Well, but the water does weird stuff here. It like recedes, but no tsunami comes afterwards, and like all the water disappears. And what's causing the tides if it's not the moon? Yeah, did the flat earthers describe what causes the tides? Because that is a thing. What causes the tides? See, since I tend to think it's like a sim dream, I don't worry about it when it doesn't make sense as much anymore. It's half flat, half round. Yeah, maybe it's an octagon. I don't know. The visor was on the dealer dog. Could be. I remember a certain look on the dealer dog of like the kind of the smart concentrating one or something. They each had personalities in my old timeline. These ones don't. That one's kind of smiling, but that's about it. They just don't have the individual personalities were so well done. So, I scroll through looking for something. Yandex. I've been using Yandex more because Google sucks so bad now. It's just shockingly horrible. So, I mean, like this one, no way, that's not even close. There's this one, nope. I mean, they even suck worse. That would might be the runner-up, but it's, see, it does have the big stogies, but that is not right. The table was bigger. I remember the bulldog kind of over here more. You could see all this, just not it. It is not it. That's the same one again. I keep going back to that one. It's the closest one. I looked. I can't see anything. Yeah, it's kind of sad. I've kind of missed that painting, actually. I like that one. I guess everybody's got to have one art that's gone now. Are we going to get any replacement art for our loss of this? Our traditional art is gone. Is the Mandela going to barf up some new art? Maybe in a couple years after we get past the whole apocalypse, end of the end times and into the new times, maybe we'll get some nice art. We have to go through the Middle Ages right now till we can get out the other side. I'm happy you changed to Yandex. Woohoo! Sometimes Bing. I don't know if you'll notice I'm not using Firefox. For some reason, I can't get Firefox to work with a dang since like a couple days ago. I tried uninstalling and reinstalling even, and it still won't work. But this good old, I don't want to say good, but Explorer is working just fine. So I don't know. Is there another one I should try? I was thinking of Chrome, but you know, everybody says Chrome is such a security risk. I'm like, I don't know. Everything sucks now. Tides only on oceans and not lakes. So theory is the tides are caused by the sun, moon reacting with salt water electrically. There are tides on the large lakes, though. They're just smaller. Like, if you go to the Great Lakes, there's tides there. There's waves. They're just not as big, but there's waves that slosh. You know, you could say it's from the, well, you could say it's from the wind, but then it wouldn't have patterns that are so predictable, so. It's all gone to the dogs. I refuse to laugh. Okay. So there's that one. This one is kind of funny. So Cleopatra, famous Cleopatra, was not Egyptian in the current timeline. While Cleopatra was born in Egypt, she traces her family origins to Macedonian Greece and Ptolemy I Soter, one of Alexander the Great's generals. Ptolemy took the reins of Egypt after Alexander's death. So she's not Egyptian, apparently. She's like this Macedonian person. No, Cleopatra was Egyptian. That's why they let her rule, because she was Egyptian. So I guess now it's just like this. It's just a common misperception. Why do people say Cleopatra was Egyptian when she was not? Cleopatra the seventh was the ruler of Egypt, but not fully Egyptian, as she was of Macedonian Greek ancestry with some Persian and Syrian ancestry. She was a daughter of King Ptolemy the 12th. After great research, history proves she was not fully black, despite having a black grandmother, or white, but was a pale olive skin with dark hair, because she portrayed herself as Eastern Mediterranean type. Actually, I don't remember her being Cleopatra the 7th either. I don't remember there are any numerals after her name. Queen Cleopatra the 7th. I don't remember that either. So yeah, anyways, so she wasn't Egyptian anymore. Cleopatra 7 Philopator. So I don't remember anything about Philopator being in her name either. Was the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt. The Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt? I don't know. There's a big mess there that it's just all, I don't know. History, it's just gotten so weird, and it's been a number of years since I've seen anything from my old history, and it's all starting to get all scrambled in my head, the new history and the old history, and this, and everything is just messed up. It's making me crazy. I wish I'd studied the old history more recently and better so that I could have it more of a lockdown about how it was, but a movie that's gone. None of the right style. It was a very quality painting. It was in its way because it was so beautifully. I mean, it was kitsch, but the way they portrayed the personalities. I have a whole. So, what movie is it that's gone? Yeah, she was Egyptian. That I'm sure. I'm sure she was Egyptian. Yeah, I don't remember her being Cleopatra the fifth, whatever that other word is. Jezebel 2 and the Medusa. What about them? Yeah, I know. Who are those other people then? Um, I mean, are we going to get? Oh, you're just confusing her with the other Cleopatra. I mean, is that going to come down the chute? Because like, who are all these other Cleopatras? So, yeah, I know. Whenever they add more words onto something, expect a split. So now she's Cleopatra the seventh Philopator. So are we going to hear about another one soon? That's the one you got confused with. Is going to be the new story. Just wait, just wait. That's like it happens a lot. So whenever there's more words added on, usually it's with animal species though. Like they'll start adding additional word on there, and then you'll see that now there's two species. All right, now this one is from Julia Spooney, commenter on the channel. Last name Spoonie. She found two of them that are quite interesting. I still can't believe Floyd tested positive for COVID. That's crazy. You just can't make this stuff up. This timeline is just, get out the popcorn. It's got the worst script. It's just like the script is so corny and contrived, and it's reality. If you made this script and tried to push, making a movie, they would throw you out of the room. We get your stupid, ridiculous, asinine, cliche bupkis script and butt out of the building because it's stupid. But no, that's reality. Reality's dumber than a movie now and weirder. Okay, so both of these are from Julia Spooney. We're gonna get this started here. All right, did I make my hair look really bad? No, I didn't. Okay, good. Getting vain in the new timeline. Okay, so they're saying that women's brains have male DNA in them. Now, we've kind of covered this before because they were saying that the DNA from like other fetuses that were in the womb with you or before you leave their DNA all over the place. It's like you get the cooties from the fetus before you. How do I get rid of this thing? Make it go away. All right, so now they're saying women's brains have male DNA in them. most likely from male fetuses. So I guess the blood-brain border is not that effective when you're a fetus. I don't know. The medical implications of male DNA and male cells in women's brains are unknown. So they got a new word for this. It's called microchimerism. I've talked about chimerism, where the animals are split down the middle, half, one fetus and half the other fetus. You see those cats with the coloration that changes down the middle. So those are chimeras. So now they're calling this microchimerism. That's the first time I've seen that word. The presence of genetic material in cells that were exchanged between fetuses and the mothers during pregnancy have linked it to autoimmune diseases and cancer in both helpful and harmful ways. So what they were actually saying was that the ones with the male DNA had less cancer, is what the storyline is for this article. These women had somewhat lower prevalence of male DNA, which was present in lower concentrations in regions of brains most affected by Alzheimer's. Okay, so for the Alzheimer's, they're saying basically that the male DNA appears to be possibly protective. But they, now they're saying correlation does not imply causation and all that. So, I don't know. Just weird. My old timeline, if you had foreign DNA in your system, then your antibodies would kill it. You didn't have foreign DNA just flopping around, hanging out. Nobody cares. All right, so the next one, also from Julie Spooney. See what you guys are up to here. Load. Need inputs in. Hello. Welcome. Hope the terrorism has not reached Japan. I hope you're probably safe over there from all the stupid. Well, not all the stupid, but maybe that particular stupid. Everyone seen the rat running around in space on the SpaceX launch? No, I didn't. All right, now I have to see what you're talking about. Rat, SpaceX launch. SpaceX rocket launch video shows mouse outside. I don't want to just play rats or mouse or something was spotted running around the rocket that was supposed to be in space. I'm afraid to run the video because of copyrights. I'm trying to find an image of it. Is it like really obvious, or do you just see something wiggling around? All right, let's go to Marcello and see what he has to say. Okay, sound is off. All right. Oh, okay, so something right there moved. Let me just make that larger. All right, there was something right here. Thank you for pointing it out, Mr. Marcello. All right, so you can see something's wiggling around there. It jumps from here up. I don't know if you can, I don't know if I have enough, if it's clear enough for you to see it. Oh, it totally does look like a mouse. Oh my gosh. I mean, you really can't see it clearly enough, but that's interesting. I think the timeline's trying to tell you something. It really does look like a freaking mouse, though. The way it moves looks very mousy. That's so funny. Does it come back at all, or is that it? Ooh, oh, wait. No, we got another video of it. Wait. God, I hope I don't get a copyright strike. Ooh, yeah. Interesting. I think that was a faraway vision of I'll have to play that later, but yeah, it really does look like a mouse. It's a mouse it's a space breathing mouse. This timeline is trying to tell you something. I think we're going to see more wacky stuff. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. Just get out the popcorn, man. That's funny. You guys got to watch that. So I just Googled, like, okay, mouse moving. I just typed in, like, mouse SpaceX, and that was enough. It really looks like a mouse. There's just no way. Maybe some of these they could slip out, but there's too many mistakes. I really do think the timeline is trying to tell you something. Truth drop. You really think that tweaker shelter could manage extreme temperatures or vacuum? No, I don't. I'm totally joking. If was a rat the size of a large dog. Yeah, how big are those things? That's a good point. What is the measurement of this contraption? I have no idea. I mean, if that's a 10-foot long thing, then that's a big mouse. It really moves like a rodent, though. I'm really keyed in on how things move. It's very animal-like movement. Very animal-like. Very rodent-like. Of course, if this is like, so if it's just like a model and it's really not that big, then obviously the rat would look humongous. It really looks like a rat or mouse to me, though. Am I the only one that noticed that the stupid SpaceX car thing was a copy of the movie Heavy Metal in the opening scenes of cartoon half porn with a lot of actors? No, I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know that one. The movie Heavy Metal. Why is that place plagued with mice? This is the second mouse around. Is it? Where's another mouse on? Okay, I got to tell you, if you have a big warehouse, it is very hard to keep the rodents out. They can get in like the tiniest little cracks. I have the same problem where I have my stuff, but part of my problem is I have this sliding door and it doesn't seal properly, and you can't really seal it because if you seal it, you won't be able to slide it anymore. And so we have to put traps out all the time because, especially in the winter, it's very hard to keep the little beasts out, especially the little mice. They're so tiny. And they feel that warmth coming from the inside. So yeah, if it was a model in a warehouse, then that's really interesting. What is the timeline going to come up with next? I think we're just going to see more and more whack stuff. Okay, so those were both from Julia Spooney, the weird, I'm supposed to be going to that surprising science thing because I haven't done it yet. Okay, so now they're saying it's not just that other foreign DNA get in there, but like your DNA is not the same. We learned in biology class that every cell in the body has the same DNA, whether a heart cell, skin cell, or muscle cell. They all read from the same genetic blueprint. Now scientists are learning there is more to the story. New research into brain cells is revealing that their DNA blueprint is radically different than expected. Compared to DNA in other cells, neurons have more, less, and rearranged DNA, and those changes accumulate over time. Okay, so like nobody ever looked at DNA in a brain before? Like all those people that got donated to science, their bodies, and nobody like grabbed some DNA off the neurons and slapped them on a slide and went, hey, look, George, this DNA is funny looking. I mean, come on, they're just figuring this out. I don't buy it. That sounds ridiculous. 2018, yeah, right. Nobody checked before now. It could explain many medical mysteries. Why do brain disorders arise sporadically? Why don't babies get Alzheimer's? What causes autism? I don't really see how it explains any of that stuff. Brain cells aren't the only ones with jumbled DNA. Our immune system was an early example of genomic mosaicism occurring in normal cells. To protect us, our immune system rearranges DNA to create cells that can recognize and remove unwanted intruders. I've not heard that any immune system functions involve rearranging the cell DNA. I've never heard of that. Genomic mosaicism may not be as unusual as we had thought. We don't yet know how this genomic mosaicism, and I have to say genomic mosaicism is another new word similar to microchimerism. We know DNA in brain cells varies widely, but we don't know how our neurons create these differences. Understanding the mechanism is a critical step, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so we've got your DNA is not your DNA now. It's genomic mosaicism and microchimerism. So it sounds like DNA is kind of like out the window. It could be anything. DNA, it's old news, man. We're not doing that DNA baloney anymore. I don't know. Just like, psh. Where's that commercial where their brain just goes psh? That's kind of like, I don't have a lot of Mandelas, but the ones I have are like, I wonder if we're being primed for news of genetic modification. I don't know. Mosaicism, petit pingouin. I'm not sure how to say that, but I tried. Okay, mosaicism is basically like when you have two different genetics from two different embryos, like together in the same organism. That's what they were calling mosaicism, or different genetics. So that's the mosaic. That's the word since the last couple years. So where's the timeline going with this genetic business? It might be different in each timeline. Maybe in one timeline it'll be aliens mess with your DNA. Maybe in another timeline it might be thoughts cause changes in genetics. Another timeline might be radioactivity from the 5. I don't want to say the word the letter that comes after F, the 5 after F. If you say that, you can have your channel blocked. So, I mean, you don't want to say the word 5 after F is the new word for that. Everybody's trying to come up with these like code words for words that they're trying to block. Mice are very clever creatures. Maybe in this timeline, I don't know. In my old timeline, mice were dumb as posts. Rats were very clever. Mice, no. They're like, they were prolific breeders, but they were not geniuses. I wouldn't put my money on that still being the case, though. So we have a rat. It's just, I can't. The thing is, okay, if they faked this, they would have taped it in advance. You would think that they would check this business. I guess there's a chance that they would have failed to notice the little wiggly thing. I guess it's possible, but Blue Fang is talking about the bees. Yeah, that was on a long time ago. The bees, only the honeybees die from stinging now. I think I remember all bees doing it, but I wasn't really sure on that one because I really mostly only knew about honeybees. That's why I didn't really chime in on that one. It could well be, it sounds right, but it's just not one where I can really, stack $10 against it. So it would be harder to clone then, right? If DNA is different depending on where you take it. Yeah, I don't know, but then they could say, oh, the DNA is different because of the location, and then when it's used for something else, it'll change, and then I don't know. There's so many ways they could go with this, determining what changes it. Maybe they're going to say, like, the cell itself, like, will alter itself to match where it has to be. I don't know. All right, so pretty weird. All right, this is another one. There. I should actually put the wiki in. Wiki. This one I kind of stumbled on. Subvocalization or silent speech. I've never heard of this. Is the internal speech typically made when reading? It provides the sound of the word as it is read. This is a natural process when reading, and it helps the mind to access meanings, to comprehend and remember what is read, potentially reducing cognitive load. Okay, so silent speech is not the speech you hear in your head, like when you're thinking. It's not that. The subvocalization, supposedly, as you read, your vocal cords make the sounds of the words but they do it so quietly that you can't hear it with your own ears, but like some kind of super strong mic could actually hear what you're reading, even though you think that your vocal cords are not budging at all. They are actually, the story goes, they are actually very subtly sounding out every word, and if you had the right microphone near there, then they could understand everything you're reading because you're subvocalizing it. Again, it sounds like another airy-fairy baloney story. I don't know what to make of all these stories. The inner speech is characterized by minuscule movements in the larynx and other muscles involved in the articulation of speech. Most of these movements are undetectable without the aid of machines by the person who is reading. It is one of the components of Badelier's and Hitch's phonological loop proposal, which accounts for the storage of these types of information into short-term memory. I don't know, but I've never heard of that, and it's weird. Has been considered as far back as 1868. Only in 1899 did an experiment take place to record movement of the larynx through silent reading by a researcher named Curtis, who concluded that silent reading was the only mental activity that created considerable movement of the larynx. So, I don't know. Any of you guys ever heard of that? Newer techniques are needed to accurately record information, and the effort should be made to understand this phenomenon instead of eliminating it. After failed attempts to trying to reduce silent speech in study participants in 1952, it came to the conclusion that silent speech is a developmental activity which reinforces learning and should not be disrupted during development. Subvocalization is commonly studied using EMG recordings, concurrent speaking tasks, and other techniques. So somebody was hypothesizing that if there was the right electronics, like say in your laptop, that it could even know what you're reading by, like say you're reading a book or something, and you were near your laptop, if it could pick that up. I can't see that happening with all the background noise, but I mean, who the heck knows? I don't know. I don't know. Weird though. Okay, I think I only have one left after this. Oops. Looks like I jumped off of the home page. Yep, go back to YouTube Studio. Shut that one. Shut that one. Load that puppy up again. I'm going to come back to that one, so I'm leaving that rat up. Pelican. Who mentioned that one? That one's that one's extra funny. I'm glad you mentioned about that rat. Are we going to load this studio or not? YouTube is not responding. It's not a good sign. Let me just make sure I'm still streaming. On that end, I still am. Here we go. Just had to think about it for a while. Someone recently claimed to have woken up with a serious underbite and blamed the Mandela effect. After I stopped laughing, I realized they may just be mocking the phenomena. You know, the thing is, I just know, from my experience, the Mandela effect moves bit by bit. So I have noticed some teeth movement, but it was over the course of a number of months. I don't think there's any case where suddenly something changes. The exception being when it can't be done bit by bit. So like there's a road and it's straight and it's turning curved. It'll turn a little bit each day. You're not going to go down that road today and have it straight and tomorrow it'd be all zigzaggy. It's always gradual. So I tend to distrust strangers who are claiming Mandelas that don't sound like how Mandelas normally operate. I mean, if it's somebody that's somewhat trustworthy, like one of the regular Mandela people and the regular channels, I might put a little more stock into it. But even so, I would want to see it, other people experiencing something similar. You know, a lot of people have talked about slight changes in teeth, gradually, scars, little features, but they don't just go bloop. You know, it's bit by bit by bit. So the exception is some things can't go gradually. Like if a new building shows up, you can't go like today I have a brick and tomorrow I have 5 bricks and then next week there's half a wall, because that's going to be even more noticeable if a building is building itself by magic than if it just suddenly shows up all done. So same thing for like on ramps. You know, it can't just scoot down the road. There's too many things in the way, so some things will change suddenly, but in my experience it's only things that couldn't really do it the sneaky route. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody eventually developed an you know, a tooth problem. What would it sound like if you were speed reading? I don't know. You probably would sound like one of those guys at the auction. Yeah, words is right, words is that. Word up to cameo. Subvocalization is why thoughts can manifest in this timeline, possibly. I don't know. Then words would have, if subvocalizations could work, then anything you said could work. If you said it out loud too. It just seems like this timeline is designed different. Everybody has a yappy little dog in his neighborhood. Fact. I hear the record scratching every time I hear Wiki. Well, you know, if you want to hear the official timeline, Wiki's the place to go. And in my experience, if you look around at about 10 other sources, it's just going to say the same crap that's in the wiki. Unless you go to like a conspiracy channel or something. So if we're looking for the official reality, wiki's the fastest route. Plus, it'll have like links to like a bunch of papers and stuff on it. If you want to get more detail, you can click on the papers. Oh, okay, there's the yappy dog. Yeah, you know, I live out kind of like where people have acreage, and you can't get away because you've got. I swear this is one of the early Mandelas, but like 15 years ago, suddenly there was this thing where these angry little male birds would see their reflection in the window and attack their own reflection. So what that means for you is that at like the minute the sun comes up, then these birds start pounding on your window. I'll tell you, I'll take the freaking yabby dog from next door over a bird pounding on your window erratically too, not in like constant. So you just every freaking morning. And they're very hard to break the habit because as long as they see their stupid reflection, they'll do it all freaking breeding season. So for like months. Okay, then you get like these crows. They get right outside your window and they caw. And then you've got the people's roosters. So there is no way to escape the racket. We are already currently and always being modified unknowingly and unwanted without our knowledge or consent. Well, I don't know. You know, I do see that my system, like my face is changing and my teeth have, you know, I used to just have one tooth that was a little sideways, and now there's like three of them in there, so that kind of pisses me off. But you know, the face here is narrower, so and I have all my wisdom teeth back there, and with the face a little narrower, I guess there's just not as much room. But you know, when you make it to like 40 something, you don't suddenly expect your teeth to change position when they were stable for like 30 years. But in this timeline, a lot of people are born without all four wisdom teeth. Now, my old timeline, like 99.99% of people had all four wisdom teeth. So those wisdom teeth are going away, and the people's faces here are narrower. Although this big fat jaw that I have now does make chewing easier, definitely. But I have trouble getting used to this giant jaw out here because I didn't have this before. I am the person who posted and retconned about the 8-week-old baby who stands and wants to walk already. What I meant with the preparation for something coming isn't about a catastrophic event. Oh, yeah. Well, it could be. I don't know. A lot of people say, oh, when they say like you said, Julia, then they're usually kind of being a pessimist. And I don't think that's necessarily the case, although it may be in some timelines. But I don't really see the point of like boning up humans and then making bigger disasters to make them survive. I mean, I don't know, if I was God, I don't know. Same problem as the space. Rodents in space. I remember hearing of the poisonous birds a few years back. I've covered some of those. They're definitely new for me, though. Check hooded patooey. I think I've had patooey on before, or something very similar. I know I've had a couple poisoned birds. Now, last I checked, they were like getting poisons from the food they eat, and then like storing the poisons was the storyline. If it was true you suddenly wake up with a serious protrusive underbite, it would be hilarious. I don't know. I wouldn't be in a very good mood. Something is still changing in the jaw part of the head. I get earaches with no reason. Oh, you know, I've had those since the 90s, so I don't think we're quite settled down, but it does seem that a lot of the changes are it seems like a lot of the changes are getting towards the end. That the rate of change seems less, in my opinion, than it was before. There could be little subtle changes, though. Who knows? That maybe the nerves are changing, the musculature. There's some things that I just don't track as well as others, like nerves. I don't remember the pathways of the nerves that well. Look at the cheekbones on that guy. Look at that. I wonder if that image is a little, even, okay, I was to say it looked a little squashed, but even that's one heck of a cheekbone. I noticed some people kind of look like Skeletor now. They have like these, like, especially some women, they have very little fat on their face, and then their cheekbones stick out, and it's so angular. It just looks like Skeletor with the big cheekbones and then the skin just stretched over this. Looks like this nose ridge has gotten more pronounced. The nose looks a little bigger to me. That bone inside, yeah, a little bit more. Very slowly, it does definitely look like this carve out on the sides of the head has been very slowly getting larger. It's pretty extensive now. So now the jawbone muscle connects all up in here. I have definitely noticed that it's a lot easier for me to chew hard stuff. Ooh, look, there's a Cyclops. Is it fake? I'm waiting. We're going to get some, sooner or later, we're going to get adult Cyclops human, I bet you. Well, maybe just a child that lived. We'll start with that. I think these are all fake. Real human Cyclops skull. I don't even remember choosing that. Bing is just picking stuff for me. All I did was click on one. I didn't type that in. Ooh. I'm getting close. Wow, look at that. We're getting there. They're coming. That's what starts, just this image, but you can't get any info on the image. That's the closest I've seen right there. Cyclops, we're getting it. Oh, look at this. This one's got 2 snouts and 1 eye. Instead of having just 1 eye, it's got to have an extra pair of snouts. We're going to see some weird looking things. Ooh, yes. Anyways, you can... What the heck is that? I got to stop looking at this thing. You guys are all going to have nightmares. Cyclops woman got 1 eye in her head. Marilyn Manson. I'm not familiar with these statements. Is that something that Marilyn Manson said? The skull has really changed a lot. Yeah, but not lately. It definitely changed a lot, but I haven't seen a lot of changes in the last few months. Does my cheekbone look fat, honey? Well, you know, it was always high cheekbones were always considered a good look. So, I don't know. I think my face might look a little better than it used to overall, but it looks less feminine, which I don't like. And I don't like those big jaw things, but at least I didn't get uglier. He sure had big body changes. I can't have sugar anymore. It makes me sick, and so does alcohol. Yeah, I'm wondering if it just seems like more of the recent stuff is more like it's not as visual. Taste bud changes, allergy, food allergy changes. People are looking younger. I agree with you, definitely. Like somebody who's 70 can look like somebody who's 40 quite commonly, and is not unusual at all anymore. 70 used to be like an old doddering geezer person, but now it's not that old. Dark Wolf wants to advertise iMac World. Yeah, let's see. It's June, the week of June 26th. It's earlier in that week. Let's see if I can get it. So Mandela Effects, MandelaEffectConference.org should bring you there, or iMac World. So that's going to be the big conference next month in June. And there's going to be a whole bunch of speakers, but since we can't do it in person, it's all going to be taped. But they're going to run different speeches. Then there are going to be new speeches for each person. And so I just, I finished shooting mine. I just have a tiny bit of editing, and then I'm going to turn mine in. So mine will be on there. A lot of stuff that's in it will be stuff I've covered over the course of the last few years. But, I mean, most people haven't seen, like, every one of my shows. And there'll be a lot of people on here who haven't seen any of my shows. So, it's all free, and they'll stream it on, this is about the conference here. 15 days. So these are all the different speakers. Somewhere I'm on there. I'm on Thursday. Free live streaming, access to all the presentations and discussions. So they'll stream one. They're pre-recorded. We were going to do live speeches and actually fly there, but now obviously because of the sea we can't. So they're pre-recorded speeches, but then the person who did the speech will be on there to answer questions and stuff after the show. Then they'll have a break. Then they'll have another speech from another person. And so iMac.world will talk about all the different speakers. I don't know what that is for. And they have their channel. Where is the channel, Dark Wolf? I kind of forgot now. It should be I'd have to lose my location there. So it'll be on the YouTube channel. Yeah, well, I don't go around telling women they look like Skeletor. Believe me. And for the most part, these are people that I see, like, on TV. But, you know, I'm not that rude. I don't have the world's best social skills, but I'm not that bad. Okay, the last one. Let me see if I can find that conference. Now, I should have subscribed to it. But you know how YouTube is. Sometimes when you subscribe to stuff, it disappears. You lose your subscription. I've had that happen. You show up one day and you're no longer subscribed. And if you don't remember the exact name of it, it's not that easy to find. Blah, blah. Are you gonna... I'm trying to get this to show all my channels, but now it won't. Come on, show me my channels. Show me my channels. Look, it won't even do that. Down here somewhere. All right, let me see. You can see I have a lot of channels. I've been following a lot of the sea stuff and like kind of the conspiracy stuff. Not that I believe everything I read, but there's definitely some interesting stuff mixed in with a lot of these. Well, I should be subscribed, but see, look, it's not showing me my channels. Won't Let me scroll. There, this is the channel, International Mandela. Let me click on it. Computer. I don't know, it just seems like whatever computer I get, it always won't run right. Is it possible to get... They live a long time, but kind of like rinky-dink style. You know, half the time it doesn't work. All right, so there it is, International Mandela Effect Conference. IMEC is the acronym for it. We had the conference last year, so this year's is all going to be streamed, and then the videos should be up here for later perusal as well, so you can watch it after the fact. But if you want to chat with the speakers, they're going to have a chat time after each show, and then like a panel discussion later in the day for all the speakers of that day, and it'll go for like a week. So this is some just advertising for it. So I'll be on Thursday. I've already done... They wanted like a 45-minute or less, 20 to 45-minute show, and I shot the thing, and it was like an hour and 20 minutes. So I had to cut out like half of it. But I think I've got it down to like 47 minutes or so. So they should be able to stomach that. It's 2 minutes over. I think they'll be able to survive. So what I'll do is my big long speech, I'll chop that up into 2 or 3 parts, and I'll play them after the IMEC show runs. Then you can see the long version on my channel later. But I'm going to not show anything until IMEC runs theirs, because that would be kind of mean. So, like, at the end of June, I'll probably start... I just put up a lot of slides. You can actually see my slideshow down here. Stream a color source image slideshow. This will be... I'll put that up at the top. Oh, you can see some of the stuff I was covering. I actually learned how to do a lot of stuff. Oops, come on. Like, I learned how to put slides up, and I learned how to program hotkeys. So I learned like 5 things in order to do that speech, which are useful things to know on how to run my program here, which now I know 2% of how to run the program instead of 1. OBS is a good program. It's free, and it has a lot of functionality. But like anything, you still have to learn how to use it. So, and in some ways, it's got too much functionality because there's so many settings, and you don't know what any of them are. But if you're techie, it's a good deal. All right, let's get on with this last one, shall we? Pelican. I think I already typed this in once. Okay, so the person who found this is a user on Redcon named CatnapME. So good find, CatnapME. This is totally creepy and weird and a little bit gross, but it's not spiders, so there's that. It's neither snakes nor spiders. It's pelicans. And it's ridiculous. So what the heck is that? So apparently in this timeline, because you just can't make this stuff up, pelicans, when they're hot or when they want to take a nice little stretch, will take their backbone and neck bones and stuff them up into their mouth like this. So this is the bottom jaw, the bottom beak part, and this is the top beak part. That's another thing that's changed for me. The top beak part on these pelicans is turned into like a stick. I remember them having more even shaped beak. You know, the top beak was not like a freaking stick. And then the bottom has become more like a trough. Okay, I do remember all the loose skin in here, but they did not used to stuff their freaking neck bones out into their mouth to cool down. Supposedly this is fairly common behavior. I just saw this little wiggle worm part out here. That's kind of creepy too. I don't remember that. So they do this often. Now, of course, I couldn't find very many images of it. You would think that there would be 10,000 images of this creepy behavior, but I think what was the word for it? It's called, they had some weird extortion or something. It wasn't that word. Truly majestic is the #1 comment. I don't think I call it that. Ooh, there's a YouTube. Okay, so the other one that can do this is your dear, dear friend, the shoebills. Shoebills do it too. You know they have to be weird as possible. I think we're going to find out that shoebills are like the evil overlords of the universe or something. Neck bones pushed. Somehow I'm not typing the right thing in, or Bing is just not as useful. Shoebill. Okay, there's the shoebill. Alright, Bing, you're not making me happy here. There is an image somewhere. I might have to do something horrible and go to Google. Shoebill crane pushing its spine through its mouth. So apparently they're shoebill cranes now. I actually have not heard this word crane on the back of the shoebill. It's a shoebill crane. Boink. So there's the shoebill doing it. There's almost no images of it. I did cover the nictating membranes at the shoebills. Seem to keep closed. So they have these creepy eyes. You know, the nictating membrane is an extra eyelid that's they're supposed to still be able to kind of see through it, but it'll protect them from water. Normally, it would be that they would just close that when they were going in the water, but it seems like these shoebills just close it all the time for purposes of looking creepy. I don't know. Birds don't sweat, so they will open their beaks and allow air to pass over the throat membrane to help them cool down. The shoebill, being a bigger bird, has taken this method to an extreme by allowing the spine to come forward. It increases the surface area, allowing even better cooling. So yeah, you need a little more surface area. So why not take your whole spine and stuff it out of your mouth? Because that is the most logical solution when you need to cool down, is to stuff your spine out your mouth. The shoebill is also known as whalehead, whale-headed stork, or shoe-billed stork. Never heard of whalehead either. So anyway, that's the creepy for today. Look for it. You'll only find a few images. Oh, this is one of the better images here. This is an ordinary pelican doing it. So that's its whole spine. I can only find one decent image of the shoebill. Supposedly they do this commonly. I just can't see how, if the shoebill's been around this whole time and they commonly stick their neck out their mouth, why there would be like only one photo on the freaking whole internet. All right, so there's this one is another one I did find last time. Ooh, I don't know how to make them bigger in Bing. So yeah, that's it. Super creepy, super weird, and no, pelicans don't shove their spines through their mouths to cool. Well, what was it then that they were just doing? See, look at that pelican's upper beak. It didn't look like a stick before. I mean, we have pelicans around here. When I go to the beach, I would see them. Now, granted, I haven't gone in a couple years, but they'd had more, their beaks were more normal looking. All right, so what are they claiming about this? All right, so there's the images. Shut up. The bottom two pictures aren't pelicans, they're shoebills. They don't do this to cool off, they're just yawning. Well, I know that's a shoebill. What these images are actually showing are some very still, very freaky yawns that force the bird's lower soft tissue beak over their neck, giving the appearance of a spine due to the flesh color of the inner beak. Well, if their soft tissue is pushed over their neck, isn't that pretty much the same thing as having their neck pushed out of their spine pushed out of their neck? Sometimes pelicans will also stretch their heads up and seemingly push their skulls through the same part of the beak. It's honestly quite difficult to watch. Never mind explain, so I'll leave you to enjoy this video. Alright, I'm going to click on it. But I'm going to go forward bit by bit so that I don't get a big fat copyright strike. Alright, so he's doing it. Haha, I had not found a video earlier. It starts like that. Then he goes to that. If I do it like this, I don't think I'll get a copyright. Then he does that. How is this a yawn? I don't get it. I mean, when you yawn, don't you stretch out and open your mouth? Who yawns by squashing their head onto their neck? I mean, and they're calling this a yawn? The heck, man? I kind of wish I... What is even going on? All I just see is weird fleshy parts. Alright, I'll fast forward it a tad. Oh, okay, then he's... Now that is the stretchy part. Okay. Alright, got it. Oh, is he going to do it again? Close. I actually never saw them do like this either with their mouth. Like... No, he's going to do it again. Blech. That's so gross. It's so gross. Anyway, what is this one called? It's called, if you want to go see it. No, pelicans don't shove their spines through their mouths to cool down. This is such a classic timeline thing because... No, pelicans don't shove their spines through their mouths. And that's the whole weird part you think they're debunking. But the actual part that they're debunking is to cool down. So, yes, they do. Pelicans do shove their spines through their mouths. But she's claiming it's to yawn. That doesn't look like a yawn to me. Doesn't really fit the definition. Why are they even doing it? I don't even know. I'm not going to buy that it's yawn. That's like there was one going around on Reddit. Stupid conspiracy theorists think that Bill Gates is trying to inject a computer chip into your skin. And like the whole thing is right, except for you take out the word computer chip and you put in the word quantum dots, and it's completely truthful. So you think that like the whole majority of it is wrong, but it's only wrong by like that much. But people just dismiss the whole thing, and that's something I've been seeing a lot lately. don't want that. There we go. All right, see what you guys up to, and it's about time for me to shove off. I have a faint memory of thinking that reflect in the mirror was inverted compared to the reflect in the water. Yeah, not me. Don't think so. I want to snouts. I'd be the big sniffer. I'll pass. No thanks. There is an Australian woman, 70 plus, that she looks like she's 40. She's on YouTube. I know people like that at pickleball. They get around, you know, they don't move like old people, that's for sure. And they don't look like old people. I mean, they have some wrinkles, but not wrinkles for a 70-year-old. Petit Pingouin is taking off. Yeah, I'm almost done. Mandela Effect community, the only people on Earth who know I'm not crazy. Yeah, I feel the same way. Oliver Henry's off. I'm pretty much done now, so unless you missed the front, you've heard all the good stuff. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. You know, one thing about this whole Mandela thing is when I first came out, I'm like, how come like expert like think tank people aren't studying this, you know? I'm like, really? Like I'm the one who has to be here trying to figure this mess out? Me? I can't wait less than 1 month. You know, I'm going to enjoy it a lot more when I'm done with my video and I don't have any more homework to turn in. But I'm very close now because I've gotten it all snipped down. And then I just have a little bit more editing to do. I reshot the intro so it makes sense with the current material. No bird could do this in my timeline. Yeah, and apparently they do it often. It's like common. I really need to lose some weight. I wish Eva had a daily show. What you just like skip dinner? Because you know what? I don't have enough Mandelas to do a show. I mean, we'd have to just talk about whatevers. Shari, you probably saw that on Retcon because it was been on there. I've seen birds in hot weather open their beaks to pant like dogs and cats. That makes more sense to me. Blow some air over the tissues. If humans end up sticking their neck out to cool, I'm going to scream. I wonder what kind of weird human... I think we'll see some weird human stuff, though. Because, I mean, if you look at some of the supposed diseases... I have not seen any of these people in real life, but like the Dandler something, where like they're really skinny and then they can move their arms and like they're double jointed, and they, you know, the kids can turn their heads on backwards now, like rotated all the way around, and there's a bunch of weird human stuff. I haven't seen that neck thing yet, but there's a bunch of other ones. Pelicans eat pigeons now. Yeah, and, you know, pigeons eat like rabbits now, and horses eat birds and roadkill. What about horses eating dead horses? Rabbits eating roadkill. All right, anyways, it's I think it's that magic hour. Only a 2-hour show today. You can speak about whatever. Yeah, I actually like to have something to actually talk about. But the other thing is, you know, I just have a job, and It's surprising, like how tiring. I don't feel tired usually when I'm speaking, but afterwards I'm like beat. It just takes. I don't know if I have to concentrate or there's a group energy thing or what, but I'm actually really pooped out the day after the show. So I don't think I could do it. I mean, if I didn't work, maybe I would get used to it. I don't know, but I've gotta find more energy and life force if I was gonna do the show more definitely. I don't know. Seeing the reptilian eye blinking thing. No, I don't know what that is. Can you give like words that I could Google? Eva for president. I don't think I'd want that job. I suspect they're all puppets anyway. I don't know. Yeah, that's another weird thing. Oh my gosh, that DC thing. So Trump clears out the protesters a half hour before curfew, supposedly so he can go and give a speech in front of this church. And if you haven't seen the video of him fumbling around with the Bible, and then he fumbles around weird, and then he holds it up all weird, and he holds it up upside down. You know, I mean, in my old timeline, I would just go, well, he screwed up and he didn't pay attention. But I really, the way things are in this timeline, the symbolics are everywhere, and I don't think it's any coincidence. I don't think it's just random mistake that he held the Bible up upside down. I mean, the Bible does say, don't trust your rulers, and I don't trust Trump, and if Biden gets in, I'm not going to trust that guy either. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's coincidence that he held the Bible upside down. He looked like the Bible was an alien organism in his hands too, the way he saw. It was weird. Just watch the video of Trump holding the Bible. It's everywhere. And if anybody watches me that is still in the two-party paradigm, I'm sorry, but I just cannot trust any of them. In this timeline, I can't, because they're different here too. I mean, some of these characters I knew from the old timeline, they weren't like they are now. And Gates is a big one. Bill Gates, he's totally different personality in this timeline. It's totally different. Anyway, I'm not seeing the answer to the reptilian eye blinking, so you can put it up in the comments and I'll check it out if that'll give me more time to research it. All right, guys. So thank you for coming. And most of the show I think was you guys, Retcon guys, and commenters this time. So I appreciate it. I didn't have that many. So think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline. It's not letting me sign out. I thought I had it all timed perfect. Oh my gosh. Let me go. I was going to be so suave. All right. Now I'm leaving for real.